are you? Welcome to another conversation that I really hope will add some kind of thoughts to your mind, will add some kind of abundance to your life, will add some kind of clarity, some kind of empowerment. Um, I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good enough week that you're grateful to have had it. This morning, I am really having a very present experience to just the fragility of life, I would call it. And when I say fragility of life, I just mean I'm very much in my mind and my heart space, just thinking about life and about life's journey and how this impacts us. So this weekend is very special for two reasons. And I think I've shared with you before that I was planning my grandmother's 80th, not 80th, wow, my grandmother's 90th birthday. So I've been planning my grandmother's 90th birthday party. Me and my mom and my sister and stuff have been working on it. Been working on it for a little while now, actually, now that I think about it. But when you're in that final week, everything just kind of starts to ramp up and get crazy. So um, we've been working on my grandma's 90th, and I don't know about you guys, but it's like there's nothing like a grandmother. There's nothing like a grandma, and I actually had the blessing of being able to know two grandmas and two great grandmas. Like I met my great grandmother on my dad's side and my great grandmother on my mom's side. So I've been blessed enough to know my great grandparents. And then for my grandfather, my grandma and my grandpa in Jamaica actually helped to raise me. So I knew my grandpa very well. He died when he was 82, I believe. And that was really devastating for me to get to experience. And um, and then my grandmother on my father's side, she passed away right before the pandemic, like 2018. And I was sad about it, but she had been ill for a little while, and so kind of expected it and so forth. And so now I literally have one grandma left, and this is like the Jamaican grandma. This is the one that you hear all the stories about. Whenever you join my tea time, you hear me talk about my grandma telling me that I must drink tea every morning. Is her. She's the one that always has the different sayings, when I catch quack or catch him short. Like, that's a grandma saying. That's a Jamaican grandma saying. Like, Jamaican, Caribbean grandmas, I think, are just lit because they have all these sayings and, all this stuff. So these little um, habits and just really wonderful things that you want to keep in your family and pass on. Usually they're the ones that can cook, and they have the best recipes, but they don't write down any of the recipes. So you have to kind of figure out what are the ingredients if you want to try to cook something. So I'm really very present to how blessed I am to have my grandmother still alive and to be able to celebrate her 90th birthday. So that's happening tomorrow. My grandmother's 90th birthday is tomorrow. And so, it's like a wedding. It's one of those things. It's like a wedding. You have people flying in, family flying in, and late night staying up, and, all the fun things. And so I'm very present to just how blessed I am. And I've been having all these memories of different ways that she's impacted my life. And it's just like a whole thing. I'm filled with love and I'm filled with gratitude, and I'm just very emotional about that. Then on the flip side of it, today, actually, right after tea time, I'm going to be attending a funeral. And I'm attending a funeral of a child. And so that too has me very present to life, right? So this is a teenager that unfortunately, tragically passed away unexpectedly. And and when I heard about the passing and stuff, it was very jarring because, of course, I have a son, and I cannot imagine. I have a son, and I have a bonus son, and I have two daughters and a bonus daughter, and I just can't imagine any of them passing before me. Like, I just really think that parents should go before the kids because it's just so heartbreaking, especially when they don't get to become, adults and experience life and do the whole thing. Like, that really is very sad. It's a very challenging thing to process. And so I have the funeral today, and then I have my grandma's 90th birthday tomorrow. So it's like celebrations of life, one that is ending too soon, and one that is just thriving at 90. And so here I am in my 40s, in the middle of that, right? In the middle of that kind of experience, and my mind and my heart and my whole being are just going through this mental processing. And so I thought for tea time this morning that I would come on and just kind of talk about how, we spend a lot of our lives, like in our 20s and 30s, we spend a lot of our lives striving and chasing. And it takes a while for us to recognize what life is truly about. And it's not the striving and chasing. It's not the striving and chasing. And I'm literally saying this to you guys while I'm running my 90-day manifestation challenge on TikTok. So it may seem like a contradiction. You'd be like, but Stacey, how are you encouraging us to manifest our dreams? And at the same time, you're talking about life is not about striving. Let me explain. When you are all of your different phases of life, when you count the amount of years you've been on earth, and you know you've been alive, when you're counting the different phases, in your 20s, it's like your boss. It's like life is fresh, and you're just like, yeah, no, I'm going after mine. That's really what the 20s are about. The 20s are about that time where you feel freedom because you get to know, your free paper is fully, there's no more burning of the free paper. In Jamaica, they have this saying about when the kids used to go back to school, they would tell us, say, your free paper bun, because well, when you're on vacation from school, you're free, you feel that freedom. But when it's time to go back, it's like they're taking away your papers, your free papers, right? So when you're in your 20s now, it's literally like that freeness is a beige kite. This big kite has just been unleashed, and you can go forth and do great things. So I think that part of things that part of your 20s, that first feeling of freedom, of, oh my gosh, I don't have to answer to the parents, I don't have to, that whole phase, that first part is really just exciting. And when you're in your 20s, it feels like you can just take over the world, and you no longer have to battle with your parents about taking it over, at least not for most people. Now, in your 20s, it's also when you're figuring stuff out. You don't really know what you do. You realize that, oh crap, I actually don't really know what I'm doing. I think I do. Some of us will have it planned all the way out. Like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what kind of job I want. I know what kind of love partner I want. I know how many children. I know how much money. And these are the steps I'm going to take to make it. But truth be told, you really don't know life. You're just kind of going out there. You might have your plan, but you don't really know life. You just kind of trusting that somewhere along the lines, everything's going to work out. I think in our 20s, we just, our ego is telling us that it's going to work out. I really feel so. I really feel like that's what happens. And because you're in your 20s, you feel like nobody can talk to you. And so even if you don't have a plan, because some 20-year-olds, the 20, 25, 26, 27, some of you guys, you have the plan. But then for those of you that don't have the plan, it's like, I'll figure it out. And then now, in this day and age, when it's Gen X, Gen Z, Alpha, Beta, whatever gen we in, Gen Alpha, I don't know what. But nowadays in the 20s, it is, you want to figure it out, but you want it to be easy. You're not into this hard life and stress. Like when I was in my 20s, it was like, boy, life is hard, but we're going to strive and we're going to work 30, 40, 50, 60 hours a day. You get what I'm saying? Um, so what ultimately happens is that during that phase, that transition phase, during that time, it's like your mind is telling you that you can do anything, you can take over the world, you have all the time in the world. You understand? That's literally what your mind is telling you. Your mind is saying you have all the time in the world because you are now free. But somehow, while your mind is telling you you have all the time in the world, it's also putting you under a lot of pressure to achieve. There is this big hanging thing that you need to achieve. And in order for you to be happy, you have to achieve these things. So that's where the list comes from. So if you're in your 20s and you have the list, it's because your mind has told you that in order for you to be happy, you have to achieve these things on this list. And so you're striving now and going down the list because you want to be happy. And you might say to me, no, Stacy, I already have happiness. I'm just going after this stuff because I'm ambitious. No, you're going after this stuff because your mind has told you that through having these things, you will have more happiness, more freedom, more money, which equals to freedom and happiness, more success, which equals to freedom and happiness. That's what's happening, right? And so what happens is that in these transitioning moments, it's like you get that double-edged kind of sword starting very early on in life. I don't know if you guys get me. Yeah? And when you are looking at whether you feel happy or not, what happens a lot of times with persons in their 20s, which is why there's such a high depression rate and a high anxiety rate of persons in their 20s, in their 30s too, but certainly now in the 20s, there's a high anxiety rate. It's because you're under a lot of pressure, and at the same time, you want to enjoy the freedom, and at the same time, you have all these different things that are coming at you because you don't have the parents to depend on anymore. You don't have the parents to depend on anymore. So without the parents, it's like you're doing all of these things and you're excited and you're free, and at the same time you're under pressure, and at the same time you have the plan. It's just a whole bunch of things. But because you have all this energy and your body is serving up you can stay up late, you can party. Oh my gosh, when I was in my 20s, there was not a party that I was not seeing. And Atlanta is the place to be when you're in your 20s, man. Let me tell you. I mean, partying, the community, the Caribbean mix up with everybody else, because Atlanta is really like a melting pot of cultures. So there's just this whole vibe and this energy. So yeah, your 20s, you're feeling like you're a boss, even if you're under pressure, even if you're navigating anxiety and depression and all the rest of it. You're faster to pop a pill and keep it moving. You're faster to be like, I'm going to figure it out. There isn't any rush. I'm going to make it work for me. What I will say to you is that if you're in your 20s, don't waste your time trying to become some kind of version of yourself that you don't love. Don't waste your time trying to become a version of yourself that because you see somebody else doing it, you figure, yeah, I got to do that too. When you're in your 20s, you really want to tap into that freedom energy, that no rush energy. Enjoy every single moment. Do the beach, do the travel on a budget. Don't keep waiting for, I have to get to this point before I can take a trip, right? Don't keep waiting for you to get to a particular level before you can get on an airplane, or before you can go to the country, come out of your city, try a different state. Like, when I was living in Atlanta, there were so many people that I met. I had traveled quite a bit by the time. I mean, I started traveling when I was 9, right? And it's not because I had a whole heap of money or my family had a whole lot of money. I just always loved traveling. And I met so many people in the state of Georgia that had never left the state of Georgia. And then when I moved to Florida and I was living in Miami, I met so many people that had never left the city of Miami. And there's so much to see. Like, in your 20s, do all the things. Enjoy every single moment of it. Don't be stuck there with your list, striving, waiting to get to a point before you decide you're going to experience life. You want to practice self-love. You want to practice self-belief. You want to practice reading. Read. Read a book and learn about something. Don't just sit there scrolling the feed. You have access to so much in your 20s that I didn't have access to in my 20s. And I had a good time. Like, I didn't leave any crumbs anywhere on anybody's table, floor, or nothing. I was just picking up all the stuff. Like, give me all of it. That's how I did my 20s. All right? So, when you think about your life in your 20s, now you're free. Now you want to create all this stuff. Don't get stuck in striving for success. The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. But what I find with a lot of us 20-year-olds now, we're not attentive. We spend so much time on social media, on YouTube, looking at everybody else's 20-year-old life and saying, yeah, man, I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna work and I'm gonna get there. And then you lay down in the bed not doing nothing. You look at everybody else's travel and lifestyle blog and you don't go nowhere. You have joy and happiness available to you right now. You just have to do something about it. You can be broke and travel. Follow somebody on TikTok that's doing that. They have a whole travel talk. Okay? In my 20s, I did enjoy. I just don't know that I knew. I didn't have all the information that you guys have in your 20s. And so I think I wasted a lot of time. Plus, in my 20s, I had my first 2 children. Yeah. Like, I had my son when I was 23. I was married, kids, everything in my 20s. Can you imagine? Okay? And I still was doing a lot of stuff. I was still traveling. I was still moving between states. I started 2 businesses. Man, my 20s was pretty cool. I can't complain. I was in a lot of debt. That wasn't great. I started getting into debt from I was in university because I didn't understand money. That's another thing. In your 20s, learn about money. Learn about fiscal responsibility. Learn about all the things that will make your life feel successful, will make it easy for you to have freedom. Learn about money. When I went to India, the guru taught me about the 3 things that he thought were important. And one of them was, the first thing was spirituality, right? Just really connect to your soul and connect to a higher being, whatever that higher being is for you. Somebody come on my TikTok and very much so write up message how, there's only one Jesus Christ and all the things. And, I'm an inclusive believer. And so I'm not going to bash anybody else for believing in their higher being. That's their business, right? But connect with spirituality, connect with your soul self, connect with your higher being, find purpose within yourself. That's what I think spirituality is all about, is really with connecting to God, if God is your connection point, right? So spirituality is one. Time management. Time management was the second thing my Indian guru taught me to think, to make sure was a top three. Spirituality, time management was the second thing. Like, and I think it's so important. Like when I think about today's conversation, time management is really, because if you're not present to know, which is an aspect of time, and you're not present to how much time you have, because you don't know, right? Then you'll be late for everything. You won't develop good habits. You won't spend time with yourself, with other people that matters. So time is really critical to respect, because the world that we live in, we do live in a world that functions around a clock and time and the sun and the moon and the night and the day and all the things. And then the third thing is money, is your financial responsibility to yourself and this world. And while I'm saying that you really want to get this in your 20s, I really mean that no matter what phase you're in, you definitely want to get it. So 20s was about becoming and feeling freedom and figuring out who you are. So it's like becoming and figuring out is what the 20s is about. And even though I thought I had it figured out because I was doing the thing, I had my list. I thought I had it figured out. Now, when you transition now into your 30s, life gets loud in the 30s, okay? Life gets louder. Now you're building a career, you're building your family. Me did not start building my family already. When I was in my 30s is when I had my third child. You're building a reputation. This is now where you start to really connect with your identity. And this is when your head start getting messed up, because when you start connect with your identity, you start to believe that identity. You start to believe, yes, I am this person. And everything now becomes about being that person. I haven't had a sip of my tea all this time I'm talking. What are you guys drinking this morning? I had to get up and make some Indian tea because I needed that comfort, you know. So I'm drinking Indian chai. Made from scratch. I'm so horrible. You know, I made the video to actually put up the recipe. Look from when I made the video to put up the recipe, and I still have not done it. Guys, this is bad. I need to put up the video. Yes, Lord. Okay, so we talked about the 20s being about becoming, feeling that freedom, and then figuring out your life. In your 30s now, life start get real loud. You start getting present to who you think you are. You start getting present to the job that you have, the identity that you've built up with about yourself, your reputation, you know, everything starts to matter and mean something. You have now given your life full meaning. You start carrying more weight, you start carrying more responsibility, more pressure than you had in your 20s. And this is where, if you thought the 20s was bad with comparison syndrome, oh wow. When you get to your 30s, this is where comparison really sets in. Oh my God. As you're building, you're looking at everybody else that is building. As you're building, it's like, oh my gosh, the 20s, fine. I was wasting my time. I was still, you know, going to school and university, partying and whatever. But now I'm in my 30s. I need to settle down. A lot of women, of course, a lot of women, I know y'all out there, ladies, you're stressing out because 35 is coming, because our doctors have now put a timestamp on our ovaries. So you start feel like you're running out of time. You start want to freeze your egg because you can't get the baby and you can't get the man and all the things you can't get. And look, you're going to the baby showers and you're going to the bridal showers and the weddings, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on with me? I have no babies. I have no man, so therefore no wedding, or, you know, whatever. I have no woman. We're in this day and age now, right? So, truth of the matter is, this is where pressure take on a whole other level because comparison is premium. Now, what was really cool about when I was in my 30s, we still didn't have internet. Internet was just becoming a thing. It was literally just becoming a thing. And because it was just becoming a thing, there was no social media. So I never have anybody, a whole world to compare myself to. It was just in my circle. And in my circle of friends, it was difficult because you're comparing now to who have house, whose house bigger than what, whose marriage is doing better than yours. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of things. Whose career is further along, how many cars they have, based on what you can see in front of you. But there was no social media. Now it's like 100 times that pressure because you can see everybody's stuff and everybody just look like for them thing turn up while you might think your thing lame. But you guys know that social media is programmed to make you feel like you're behind so that you'll keep looking like that, right? I don't have to tell you that on this show. That's important to understand. The algorithm is meant to keeping you online so that you can see what everybody else is doing and then you can want to keep coming back. It's programmed to do that. And so because it's a program, you don't have to put yourself under pressure. Remove the pressure of the programming of social media from your life. Just take that tip from me. If you take nothing else away today, life is too fragile for you to be caught up in what social media says you need to have or not have. And when you're in your 30s, after you've now navigated this space of freedom and figuring it out in your 20s, 30s, you feel like you should know what you're doing. But guys, you never really know what you're doing. We're always figuring it out. We're always figuring it out. When I was in my 30s, you know what happened to me? I got breast cancer. That's what happened to me in my 30s. I was married, 3 kids, got breast cancer. And I got breast cancer when I was in the middle of a separation. My marriage was about to end in divorce. My life was a total crap show. It was just like a downward spiral. You talk about comparison to the rest of the world. I felt like I was in hell. I did not know what I was doing. My decisions were total crap. And this is after being a success. I mean, I was vice president of a software company. And I was a mess. My life was a mess. My body was a mess. My mind was a mess. That was my 30s. And I literally went into a downward spiral, depression, anxiety. I had to be seen psychiatrist, on medication. It was just a hot mess. And that's because I was so busy with my plan in my 20s. I was fast tracking. I'm a high performer. So all the things I was supposed to be doing in my 30s, I was done in my 20s. I had built the family. I had built the career. I had built the reputation from in my 20s. So by the time I got to my 30s, okay, it's time for overwhelm and burnout and just demise. let's break it all down, I was carrying too much. I was carrying too much responsibility and putting myself under too much pressure because of what my mind was telling me I needed to do. So now in your 30s, people are, I think, still doing a lot of striving in their 20s, but in their 30s, it's really about balancing and finding harmony in your life, right? You want to make sure that you're not just stuck on the doing like how I was stuck on the doing. Because when you get stuck on the doing and the striving, you end up in problems because your body is keeping the score. Your mind is just telling you go, 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 and your body's like, help, I am struggling. You're not resting enough. You're probably on some kind of drugs, whether it's alcohol or something to help you to get through all of the things that you're doing. You're stuck in this achieving mode. And there's nothing wrong with achieving, guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm a grand achiever. Oh my gosh. I love being an A player. But at the same time, I also really enjoy making sure that my mind is serving me and that it's not driving me crazy. I'm not being the slave to what my mind is telling me I need to do. It still happens from time to time where my head is going to tell me you need to be posting 3 to 5 times a day on TikTok. And I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. My mind still does that stuff. I just don't listen to it anymore. Once upon a time, I used to listen to it. Once upon a time, I used to feel like because on Instagram, I have to get to the 10,000 followers. If I don't, then I'm not good enough. I'm not going to make any money. And I used to do that. I don't do that anymore because I know who I am. And I know that I need to balance so that I don't end up right back with cancer again. So in your 30s, after you done unleash all of this thing, when you're getting into that active doing and you're building, this is where you want to make sure that you're putting some harmony in that space, that you're balancing the striving and the doing and the achieving, that you're doing that and asking yourself, what am I doing to serve me? What am I doing to love me? A lot of people in their 30s are asking themselves, am I doing enough? Am I falling behind? They're looking at their peers, especially with the guys. This is where the guys know you may not necessarily want to be married, but you want to be successful. You want to be making bank because you believe, and it's a belief, that you need to be making bank before you can enjoy your life. Or in order to prepare yourself for always enjoying your life in a different way, not just carelessly party and sleep around no more. Now you want to kind of start preparing yourself for your future, finding that girl, that one. So your mind may be telling you time is moving faster. And it tells me that too. It tells me time is moving faster. You know, you should be going faster, is what it's telling you in your 30s. You should be further along than you are right now. You got to hustle. You have to have 10 jobs. Jamaicans be having 10 jobs anyway. So I don't know if you got to be 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Everybody in Jamaica, them have 10 jobs. I don't know. But in your 30s, I want to remind you that all of this seeking that you're doing and thinking that you have to execute all these things to get to a point of being happy, being satisfied, being successful, don't put your joy on the back burner. There is no way to happiness. There's a guru that said this. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. You can't wait until you get to that point of having the house, having the car, having the pension plan or the investment accounts to then decide that now I'm going to seek, I'm going to settle into happiness and I'm going to settle into that feeling of success. Now is the time to settle into that feeling of success because you're alive now. You don't know if you're going to make it to the other side. I told you, when I come off of tea time this morning, I'm going to the funeral of a teenager. He didn't even get to 20s, guys. And there are a lot of people that don't, there are a lot of young people that don't get to do the 20s, 30s, 40s. They don't get to do that. Life is fragile and we take it for granted that there's always gonna be another day where I can get up and I can do whatever I'm doing to strive towards success. The only success is a word that covers up what you're truly seeking, which is peace of mind, freedom, and joy. That's ultimately what you are seeking. Peace of mind, freedom, and joy. And when you remove the word success, which has connotations to it, success is made to look a particular. When you remove that, can you imagine being in your 30s and realizing that success does not have to equal a big house and a car and the perfect spouse or love partner? If you remove that context, if you remove all the different outfits, imagine that, right? So self-love in your 30s looks like giving yourself permission to rest, to reassess what happiness means for you, to realign with yourself, not just the big goals and the things that you are chased down, but with your soul, to actually figure out who you truly are. Because if you can do that in your 30s and you get access to your 40s, which is where I'm sat now on the ending scale of 40s, oh my gosh, I'm on the other side of 40s, guys. Then when you get to your 40s, you're not going to have the total pop down like what I'm having in my head. So let me be very honest with you guys. I will say that in my 40s has been the most mentally challenging time of my life, especially the last 4 or 5 years, where I've been really trying to figure out who I am. And I know you might be thinking, oh, but Stacey, you don't look like you're in your 40s. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I'll take it. You don't look like you're in your 40s. But really and truly, guys, what happens to you in your 40s is when you realize that you're closer to 50 than you are to 30, is like something goes off in your brain where you start to try to figure out, how did you get to this number in my 40s? How did I get here? When did that happen? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. What's happening right now? Like, I'm literally going through that less now. And guys, honestly, the 40s has been really the best time of my life. I mean, I got divorced right when I was entering my 40s. I got divorced. And then, I was separated for a while before that, but I no longer had cancer. I'd gone through my whole reconstruction because I had to have mastectomy and all those things now. So when I got into my 40s, I was really like hot girl in all the way. It was like, yeah, it's like back in my 20s again, but except I got 3 kids. I'm a single mother now, taking care of them on my own. I have to be managing all of that, right? But nonetheless, the 40s was a thing. It was like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited about being here. I know who I am. I'm pretty successful. I'm a C-suite executive, like balling. I had moved back to Jamaica. Yes. And, living high life. It's been just a gift. But what also is happening in my 40s is that I'm feeling like I'm running out of time. And that's new for me. Like, I'm running out of time? What? How did I get here? How comes I have teenagers? When did my kids become teenagers? I mean, like, when I tell you nights, days, balling people. And at the same time, I'm over here like having a total, I don't know if it's midlife crisis because I don't reach 50 yet, but it's coming. And when I realize 50 is coming, I'm like, I didn't finish. I haven't done the thing. I'm not successful. Can you imagine? I'm telling myself I'm not successful. After I'm done climb how much executive ladder and president of this and awarded this and travel how much places in the world. And like literally my mind is telling me that I have not done enough. And it's now telling me you soon dead. You are about to die very soon. These are the stories that my mind is telling me. And at the same time, my mind is asking me these questions. What do you really want in life? Are you truly happy? Do you really know who you are? Can you really make an impact? What about those footprints you wanted to leave in the sand? Guys, it is a total, I can't cuss on this show. But let's just say my mind is doing the most. My mind is doing the most. And it's been difficult. It's been challenging. And that's what the 40s has been for me. I don't know about nobody else, but I am telling you that in your 40s, most of the people that I talk to, I have not talked to one 40-year-old that has said, yeah, man, Life is just great and there is nothing else. Yes, life is really great, but in your 40s, your mind starts to question, why is it that when I'm doing my dancing and thing and my knees are making noise? Why are my knees making noise? Why are things popping and cracking? Like, what is, and you don't expect it to be happening. It just starts to happen. And what's true is that you have to come to a point where no matter what's going on with your body, no matter what's going on with your mind, no matter the thoughts that you're telling you, you have to get to a point where you know that you have lived a beautiful and wonderful life, and that no matter where you are grateful for being here for 40 odd years. And that's the lesson I'm learning now. I mean, when I look at a 50 number and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm approaching 50. When did that happen? It doesn't actually matter when it happened. The fact is that it is happening. And so my time now is not about the rushing to get it done. Like, I mean, I'm always going to be doing stuff. Like, that's just who I am. I'm writing a book. I'm writing 2 books right now. That's just who I am. You know, I started my own company. I'm doing, you know, like, I'm on TikTok now. I wasn't on TikTok this time last year. I wasn't, you know. So I'm still exploring, I'm looking at my mind and I'm saying, you know, I have done enough and I love myself enough to know that I've lived a really good life. And yes, I want to live another 40 years. Yes, I want to be around for a long time. And while that is happening, I also want to make sure that I'm enjoying every moment of it. Perimenopause and all of these posts you guys see about perrying for the woman, and yeah, we might have a Perry, but the men might have a Jerry. There is something going on with the men too. They're not over there just aging gracefully. No, they're not. They have stuff. They just don't talk about it. Men have stuff going on with their bodies in their 40s. They do. And worse, most of them don't like a doctor. Okay? So, in your 40s, since I'm now about to exit my 40s, my God, I can't. In your 40s, you have to focus on what is real. This is where now you're stepping away from just the dreaming. Not that you're not dreaming, you still got to dream every day, imagine every day. But you are being intentional about being joyful now. That's what's real. Joy is real. Clarity is real. You can literally look back because you've now got 4 decades. So you can literally look back now and connect the dots forward. You can look at your life and you can say, this is what I've been up to. Has it been working for me? Do I want to keep doing what I was doing and getting what I've been getting, or do I want to shift today? You have that ability to have that clarity, and you can decide, you know what? I'm going to be joyful right now. You can set that intentionality. And so when you are dreaming with the intention of being joyful. No, you're not dreaming with the intention of being joyful when you get to a particular result or a particular goal. Joy is real in your 40s. Clarity is real in your 40s. Freedom is real. You just have to embrace it and stop focusing on running out of time and thinking that you haven't done enough. You're entering into a new kind of fierce, a new kind of fabulous and fine, and have it figured out because you actually have information that you can use. Right? This is the time frame about remembering who you really are. And I'm talking to you and I'm talking to myself. Because it's very easy to forget who you are, even when you're in your 40s and you're wiser, because you have now all these expectations, both from the life you've created or not created, and also because you're in a world where you're seeing everybody else's life. And people always put forward the highlight reel. It must be me alone out here talking about all of the things that were my life messy and hot messy part, the hot messy parts of my life, right? But this decade is about you. Last night I watched this reel. There was another interview that Will Smith did. And I don't know if Will is in his 50s yet. I think maybe. I don't know. Maybe you guys can correct me. But, he was just talking about how you spend most of your life striving and going and trying to figure things out. And he was making the comparison between hitting rock bottom and getting to what he's calling the cliff top. And what's interesting is that I've been to the rock bottom. I've been to rock bottom, as I shared with you guys. In my 20s, I was doing a lot of things that people do in their 30s. I was striving, I was building family, I was building career, I was married, I had kids, I had house, I had cars, I had all of it. I did that in my 20s. I was early, I was feeling like I was on top of the world. And then in my 30s, I had a complete downward spiral with the cancer, the depression, the anxiety, the separation, just a hot mess. And so now in my 40s, if I'm listening to Will's conversation about hitting that rock bottom and having that aha moment, in my 40s, I've been doing the opposite. I've been climbing, I've been striving, I've been getting to cliff top. And either end of the spectrum, whether you're at the bottom or you're at the top, there comes a point where you really recognize that all you've been doing is trying to find yourself. That's all you've been doing, is just trying to find yourself. And when you're in your 40s and you feel like you're closer to the end than you are to the beginning, that's when you start to feel desperate to find yourself, because you feel like you're running out of time. But don't waste your time there. Don't spend your time wishing you had more time. Spend your time being grateful for the time that you have had, being grateful for the time that you have now, and being intentional about living in the moment and experiencing the profound joy that is available to you. Okay, it's an emotional weekend, guys. Anyway, I got to get ready to go to this funeral. And after the funeral, then I'll be meeting up with my family to plan Grandma's 90th. And I'm just grateful to be here to share with you guys. Because life is fragile. You just don't know. You just don't know. Enjoy your life. Just enjoy your life with intention. Okay? Before I leave, I think I'm going to pull a card from my deck. Yeah, let's pull a card, and then after I pull a card, we'll leave, okay? So, thank God it's waterproof mascara. All right, so this card today says, I am unfathomable. I create my own opportunities and lean into the courage to fulfill the desires of my heart. This is today's card. Today's card is, I am unfathomable. I am unfathomable. I create my own opportunities, and I lean into the courage to fulfill the desires of my heart. My desire for you today is for you to live a full, joyful, and courageous life, and to share that life with those that you love. All right? Thank you guys for joining Tea Time. Thank you for tolerating my tears. And I will see you next week, Saturday, on another episode of Tea Time. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye.